The stage lights glowed softly, casting a honeyed sheen across the pastel set of Today with Jenna and Friends. The morning air in Studio 1A was unusually electric as producers shuffled papers, checked audio feeds, and whispered last-minute adjustments into their headsets. Blake Shelton had arrived. Country music icon, tall, rugged, and grinning, stepped into the studio wearing his signature denim shirt and well-worn boots. He greeted Jenna Bush-Hager with a warm hug, his southern drawl slicing cleanly through. The bustle, "It's good to be back," he said with charm. The audience clapped enthusiastically. Coffee cups clinked. Smiles were shared. Everything about the moment screamed comfort television. But comfort, as the next few minutes would reveal, was an illusion. What had begun as a typical lighthearted segment would twist into something far more charged. A single offhand comment, a spark of irritation. And years of pent-up frustration would combine to create a scene that left millions stunned in. One guest walking out, live and unedited. They started with familiar ground. Blake's farm in Oklahoma, his relationship. With Gwen Stefani, his departure from The Voice, Jenna leaned in, laughing easily. "You missed the button, don't you?" she teased, referring to his spinning judge's chair. Blake chuckled. "Only thing I miss about that chair is the ability to avoid questions like this." The audience laughed. It was easygoing, as expected. But when the topic shifted to Blake's musical direction, something shifted. Jenna asked, "Some fans are wondering if you're drifting from your roots less country. More pop, any truth to that?" Blake blinked. Slowly. "Is that what this segment's about?" Jenna caught off guard, smiled nervously. No, just what fans are chatting about online. You've been experimenting lately, that's all." Blake leaned forward, elbows on knees. "Been playing guitar since I was 15. Writing songs since before most people tweeting were even born. If folks got a problem with growth, maybe they're not listening close enough." His voice had lost its playful tone. A thin layer of frost began forming around every word. Behind the scenes, producers exchanged glances. Jenna, ever the pro, tried to steer things back to neutral waters. "Totally get that. Your last album had some amazing ballads, real storytelling." Blake gave a tight smile. "Right. But you just asked me if I'm drifting. That ain't about ballads. That's code for selling out." The air thickened. Jenna's co-host Alicia jumped in to diffuse it, making a joke about Blake's boots being the most country thing in New York right now. The audience laughed, but Blake didn't. He looked at Alicia and said flatly, "Funny. But this isn't a costume?" Jenna's eyes widened ever so slightly. It was clear. Something had snapped. Not violently, not with volume, but with unmistakable finality. Viewers watching live began to sense it too.
Well, where run, whoa, our word, Olgerson, our cutto, on our.
"Blake's vibe is off," one user tweeted. "Is this real?" asked another. It was real, and it was escalating. Jenna, trying to maintain composure, said, "Hey Blake, we love having you here. This show is all about fun, friends. And good conversations." Blake leaned back, shaking his head slightly. "If we're friends, then don't question my heart like that. I've bled for country music. I don't need some morning show segment hinting I'm turning pop for clicks." The studio fell into an unnatural silence. Alicia tried to pivot again this time, mentioning Blake's charity work, but it was too late. The energy had shifted, and Blake's mind was made up. He stood up slowly, adjusting his mic. "Came here to talk music, not defend my identity." Jenna stood as well, clearly stunned. "Blake, wait," she said, reaching toward him. But he was already moving, already walking past the cameras, his boots thudding with quiet finality. The audience gasped. Jenna stood frozen, her face a mixture of confusion and disbelief. For the first time on the show, there was no wrap-up, no laughter, no commercial break, just Blake's retreating figure in the heavy silence of live television. The door closed behind him with a soft click, but the tremor it sent through. The entertainment world was instant and seismic. Twitter lit up with theories and reactions. Hashtag Blake walks out trended within minutes. Some viewers called it staged. Others called it raw and real. Studio staff scrambled backstage. A segment producer tried to intercept Blake before he reached the loading dock, but he held up a hand and said, "Don't. Not now." His SUV was already waiting. He slid in, pulled the door shut, and stared straight ahead. No music, no phone. Just the quiet hum of a man who'd reached a limit. Back inside, Jenna was handed a note card. "We're cutting to commercial," it read. But she didn't move. Instead, she looked into the camera and said, voice steady but low, "Sometimes things don't go how we expect. And sometimes that's exactly what needs to happen." Viewers at home felt the weight of that. It wasn't just about Blake. It was about something deeper. How we talk about artists, identity, and the lines we cross when we forget the people behind the personalities. By the time the show returned from commercial, the internet was a battlefield. Videos of the moment hit YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram with lightning speed. Every outlet from Billboard to TMZ ran the headline, "Blake Shelton walks off live morning show." Think pieces poured in. Some defended him. "He's human. Let him be," others mocked. "Can't take the heat?" Fellow country stars chimed in. One anonymously said, "Blake's always had a temper, but he's got a point." Another posted a clip of his walk-off with the caption, "Legend." Meanwhile, the Today producers issued a one-line statement. "We appreciate Blake Shelton's time on our show today. No apology, no blame, just facts." Blake remained silent. No tweets. No reps, just the echo of that soft door, click replaying. Across 1,000 timelines, for some, it was drama. For others, it was catharsis. But for Blake, it was a line crossed and a truth defended. The next day, Blake resurfaced not in a statement, not in an interview, but in a blurry fan photo at a roadside diner in Oklahoma. Sipping coffee with an old friend. The caption read, "He's not mad, just done." It went viral too. Still no official word. But his silence spoke louder than any press release could. It reminded people that celebrities are not dolls on display, but people with pride, pain, and breaking points. In the days that followed, fans split. Some sent love, others sent sarcasm. But through it all, Blake didn't flinch. He wasn't hiding, he was regrouping. And when he did return to the spotlight, it wouldn't be for damage control. It would be on his terms, his timing, and with no apology for being real in a world addicted to plastic smiles. Jenna, for her part, addressed the incident briefly in the next episode. "Sometimes live TV brings surprises. Blake's a good man. We wish him the best." That was it. No spin, no extra fluff, just a thread of grace in a world of gossip. But fans weren't done dissecting. Clips of the exchange were slowed down, reanalyzed, broken into micro moments. Every blink, every breath, every syllable, cataloged like a courtroom case. Some said Jenna had pushed too hard. Others claimed Blake overreacted. But few could deny the rawness of the moment. In a media landscape full of pre-scripted fluff, this was something rare, an unfiltered fracture. And as uncomfortable as it was, it felt oddly refreshing. Weeks later, Blake finally spoke. Not to a reporter, but at a concert in Nashville. Midway through the set, he paused. "You know," he said, strumming his guitar, "a lot of people have been asking if I'm still country, if I'm still real." He looked out at the crowd. "If walking away from a fake smile makes me less of a country boy, then I guess I've been faking it for 30 years. The crowd roared. He smiled this time, wide and genuine. "Don't let anyone tell you who you are, especially not between coffee commercials." It was the perfect mix of heart and bite. And just like that, he turned controversy into conviction. In time, the moment passed, but not forgotten. It became a watermark for authenticity on live television. Producers learned to tread more carefully. Hosts paused before phrasing edgy questions. Blake, he didn't change. He kept doing what he'd always done, singing truth, raising hell, and walking away when the room stopped feeling honest. The morning show world eventually returned to soft lighting and laughter. But now, every time a guest smile seems just a little too forced. Someone, somewhere remembers that one morning Blake Shelton reminded the world live. Unfiltered and unapologetic, that country isn't just a sound, it's a soul.